Hello, everybody. This is Steve Yoder. Welcome to week one in Legal Studies 457, 557, Business Law for Accountants, here in the spring of 2024 at the UAB Collat School of Business. As I described in the introduction to the course video, every Monday morning I will post a video in the announcement section of the Canvas course shell with an overview of what we're going to be covering during the next 7 days of the course. And in week one, beginning March 4, 2024, we will be looking at the very basics of the law and legal reasoning. Most of you have already taken online courses, I'm sure, and have been successful in those, but take a look at the module in this course with some tips for online success that have been prepared. It's a brief video that have been prepared by UAB's Office of E-Learning. Every week we will be doing different learning activities. In Module 1 you can see that we have several sets of learning activities. In this very first week we will be looking at the legal environment, but the second week of the course, which is actually delayed by a week for spring break, we'll be looking at courts and alternative dispute resolution. And we will be looking finally at the law of contracts, which the CPA examiners and I as well believe is an extremely important body of law for CPAs to know. So let's go ahead and get started with the learning activities for this week. The Canvas course shell has this in front of you. You can see for the learning activities, there is always going to be a chapter from the textbook or more than one chapter. There are some class slides that I have distilled what is in the textbook down to what I consider to be the most important concepts. And by the way, I will generally only test on what's in those slides. And many times, as is the case this first week, there will be a very brief video. That is the current Attorney General of the United States, Merrick Garland. We sometimes take for granted that we follow the rule of law. That is, that if a law is written, we follow it. In fact, if you look at this map of the United States, only those countries colored in green really do so. The colors that are also on here are for countries that might have laws, but they are selectively applied for the benefit of certain people. And I don't need to take a pro or con side to tell you that there are people who believe that the United States is sliding away from the green color toward perhaps the yellow color. The CPA examiners believe that the top set of boxes that you can see here are the most important for a CPA to know when a client comes into their office. These are the areas of the law that will affect your clients as they go about making decisions in their business. And when they're talking to you about accounting or auditing matters, they may well ask you related or even unrelated questions about the law that we think you need to be ready to at least know the basics of. And probably if it's of substance, refer them to a lawyer. We'll be looking at where we get law from. In the United States, there are four main sources of the law: the United States Constitution, statutes. Statutes are laws made by legislatures, administrative law, law made by administrative agencies, and case law and common law doctrines that come from case law. That's law made by judges. Believe it or not, it really was not clear for the first 25 years or so of the existence of the United States of America exactly what happened if a legislature passed a law that was contrary to the U.S. Constitution, but the Supreme Court settled that in this very famous case, Marbury versus Madison in 1803, and many, many times the U.S. Supreme Court has had to decide whether a law can survive or not as being consistent with the U.S. Constitution. And we saw that 12 years ago when the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare, very nearly was struck down as being unconstitutional, but it was upheld. Generally speaking, our courts follow the concept of stare decisis, which is Latin for to stand on the decision, which is meaning if an issue has been decided once, it's not going to be redecided. But we have seen in the last several years that sometimes that doctrine of stare decisis does not serve to preserve all precedents. For example, for 51 years, the doctrine of stare decisis would have said that the Constitution gave us the right to an abortion. In 2023, the U.S. Supreme Court said not really so, and broke with the concept of stare decisis. Here is an extra credit point for you for the first exam. Actually, it's 2 points. Tell me by Sunday night, March 17, that's the very end of spring break, by sending me a Canvas mail message, what law President Biden unsuccessfully tried to use to forgive a great deal of student loan debt. The law that he said gave him the power to do that had a name, and I want you to just simply tell me that name. You tell me that name of that law, and I'll add 2 points to the score of your first exam. And I've seen many, many people go from a B to an A as a result of getting those extra credit points. Looking ahead on Sunday, March 17th as well, I want everyone to have introduced themselves to me and to each other using VoiceThread. We'll also be using VoiceThread to simulate interactions between a CPA and their client. Those will be due on Wednesday, March 27th, in time for everybody to take the first exam, which will open on Friday the 29th and close on Sunday the 31st. Remember that in this course, quizzes and assignments and definitely modules open and close as we go along in the course, so you can't back end load everything, I'm sorry to say, for those of you who might want to do so till the end of the course. Here's the calendar. Today is March 4th. As luck or bad luck would have it, the UAB spring break is the second week of this course, and I want everyone to have a spring break, so we're not going to run this course during spring break week, but the night of the 17th of March, look at all those things that are due, including introducing yourself to me and to each other using VoiceThread. So if we don't if you don't see another video until after spring break, I hope you have a very safe spring break.